The Matchbox 50C is a representation of a 1967 Ford F-150. You can tell it's not a 68 because Ford made a slight grille change in that particular model, and Lesney began producing it in 1969, so it would have to have been modeled earlier. The F-150 has long been instrumental in the success of the Ford Motor Company. The 50C represents a 5th gen F-Series, which was produced from 1967 to 1969, and for 42 years it's been the #1 selling American vehicle. This one was already split when I got it, but I did have to remove a few of the trim pieces. The F-150 last year sold almost as many units as Dodge and Chevrolet combined. I never owned one. I've always been kind of a Chevy guy. Even though it had already been split, it still needed to have the holes drilled out there. It was held together by a clip. You can kind of see the slot for it there in the mount for the grill piece. And these two rolled over posts. One thing I remember about these things too, a buddy of mine had one, was the hood was massive, because it didn't like run between the fenders. It kind of sat on top of the truck almost. And when you shut them, there was a really unique sound, different from a normal car hood. It was real hollow and metallic-y, but it was kind of funny. So, and as I always say, I got to put it back together at some point, so got to put a button screw in there, and then we'll open the, I heard another builder call his salsa. I know Paul calls his like the warm goo or something like that. Me, I just give it a shake for luck, go about my business. I was impressed with the detail of the model. I mean, I got to give them credit. They really did a nice job on this one. I was glad to see that there wasn't a lot of corroded areas because I was contemplating not priming this. Pick a little bit of the paint out that was in the back here where the dogs go. I wasn't sure, I could prime the thing, but I was also thinking about using Tamiya translucent paints because I thought it would look really good. It would be, because the paint on the original, of course, was not, it was a translucent paint. So, there's problems with doing that, in that any flaws in your casting are really going to show, and if the casting isn't level, if it has nicks and other things, the primer would fill that to some degree and make the surface of the casting smoother. So a lot of times when you go straight on the metal, they kind of come up really rough looking. Tamiya makes a translucent green, and I've shot it before, and I don't think it's the right color for this. So what I did is I painted it with translucent yellow. And I'm now going over the translucent yellow with translucent blue. And my hope is that I'll be able to control the depth of the green, I guess, for lack of a better term, by applying coats of blue. The base, I stripped the paint off, took the tires off. There was a place that needed to be repaired. So I was just going to paint this satin black. I just used a rattle can. You know, I mean, I stripped the paint off and then I cleaned it up really good. And like I said, I rattle canned it. You can see the broken portion of the chassis right there. There's supposed to be like a bridge across the top of that axle hole. You'll see the other side here in a second. Yeah, see what I mean? There's like a top to it. And that's broken. Anyway, once I had the green in a place that I liked it, I threw on a coat of X35 semi-gloss clear. I had a good enough shine on it just from the paint. And I needed to clean the plastic pieces up a little bit. I didn't use any tire wash on these. They were still in really good shape, I thought. So I just cleaned everything. And put it on my little tire rack to dry. I'll clean the glass up. It was in pretty good shape, but I decided I was going to polish it anyway. And in fact, I bought this new little polisher, and the thing I like about it is it'll go at a little bit lower RPM than my Black & Decker rotary tool. And, you know, I've melted windshields before, and I hate it when that happens. So the chassis turned out really good, and getting ready here to put the wheels and tires back on. There you can see my repair right there that I made with some super glue and baking soda. And so now I actually also made this little tool. It's got a dimple in it there to put one end of the axle. And then I also drilled a hole in it here that I tapped out. So if I need to shorten a button screw, I can use that as kind of a die. I don't like doing this a lot. This is a circumstance where it doesn't bother me so much because it's just the chassis rather. There's no casting there that I've been painting. And then, of course, here's all the parts I got from Steve Flowers. The grill, of course, I just cleaned that up with brake fluid and, you know, made it white again. But I got dogs and a clear topper from Steve Flowers in the UK. And this is where it winds up. The Matchbox number 50C kennel truck. You know, I fixed that hole on the rear axle. I tried to make it exactly the same as the other side, and this truck still has that back end sag because of where the tops of those holes are. And it looks like it was made that way, which is actually kind of funny. Because I knew so many Fords that were actually like this. There will be an episode of The Bench after this, so hope you like it. Subscribe, click the thumb up, the thumb down. If you want to leave a comment, that's great. Please make sure it's constructive. This is TimeRider, and I'll leave the light on for you. Thanks for sticking around for this episode of The Bench. Okay, so I have this number 20 taxi, and I look at it and I think, you know, it's really not that bad. But it's got some flea bites on it and some edge play wear, and I just think it could look a lot better than this. And it's, you know, it's not like it's worth $500 or anything. So I'm working on that. The paint's already on it. It looks a ton better. Hopefully we'll see that here before the week is out. So Jordan down in Florida, he sent me this Husky Commerce walkthrough van. And my initial thought was, hey, I'm going to paint this thing red and try to match those doors. And then I got to looking around on the internet a little bit. And these are, not that they're rare, but they're a fairly unique specimen. So I think I'm just going to try to match that pissy lime yellow, whatever they want to call that. So last but certainly not least, I started a custom on this 1940 Ford two-door sedan. You know, everybody's got their favorite cars. You know, for me, this is one of mine. I really like the 40. I like the 50 Ford. I like the 58 Chevy every day of the week. I love 66 Chevys. You know, you just have those that you like. I bought this casting out at the swap meet for $1. I think that's a sorry example of purple. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. It's got primer on it right now. I'll figure something out. So this is TimeRider. Everybody have a great rest of the week. And hopefully you enjoyed the video and you'll show up for the next one too. Click likey like if you like. Click don't likey like if you don't. See ya.